Welcome to this special edition of Local Point. I'm your host, Chris Piner. On today's show, we've invited candidates who will be on the ballot in the upcoming general election. As Duchesne County's races were determined in the primary election, we will now primarily focus on Uintah County and state district elections. Each candidate will have up to 10 minutes to respond to questions that we have provided to them in advance. Please stay with us as we introduce you now to each candidate. We now welcome Uintah County Commission candidate Stephen Borton. Welcome to the studio today.
Hello.
We have 10 minutes today, and I'm just going to start you right off with your questions. Your first one is, what do you see as the greatest challenges currently facing Uintah County? And if elected, how do you plan to address those issues?
Okay, Chris. Well, the main problem we have is this boom and bust economy we're stuck in. I mean, it's been going on for decades. And every time we hear this boom's going to be different, this one's going to last, and then the bust comes and we're all acting surprised. And it's going to be a rough 3 to 4 years that we're in. But oil prices will eventually recover and things will pick up again. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do right now, but we should start planning now for the future. And there's several projects I'd like to see us really promoting. One's the DC pipeline. There's a proposal out there for a pipeline from Duchesne County to Carbon County, and this pipeline would help make our products from the oil fields so much cheaper to get out of the county. Trucking them as we do now with so much of it is a very expensive way, plus it overcrowds our highways. So I would not only like to see this pipeline completed, I'd like to see an extension all the way to Redwash, so that we really pick up on it too. Another project I've been really big on for a long time, I've been hearing about this for 30 years, is the Bonanza Power Plant. There was originally a plan for a second power plant, a gas-fired plant. We have a lot of natural gas. Natural gas is cheap right now. It would make a whole lot more sense to turn that natural gas into electricity and then send the electricity out of the market. Value-added product there. It would also employ more people. One of the concerns I have about the future here is the ozone problem. We've always had this in the basin as far as I can remember. It has to do with the winter inversions. One of the things we don't want is the federal government having to step in and mandate things. Now, I'm really pleased right now. I see in the local paper the Monument Butte oil fields just got approved. Now, Newfield has been approved for 5,800 wells. And the great part about it is, because they've worked with state and federal and local officials, this should not add to our ozone problem. They're going to mitigate it, and that's the way we should be doing things. Taking care of it before it's a problem, rather than trying to deal with it later.
Now, the next question is actually about your plan for economic recovery, and you did cover some of that. Do you want to add anything?
Another area that would help is Congressman Rob Bishop has his Public Lands Initiative. And when I first heard about this, I was just delighted. I was thrilled. I thought, for years I've been standing up at public hearings saying, we have a hearing, and here we have the oil people and the environmentalists and everybody fighting each other. Why don't we have a master plan with the BLM and the other agencies to say, this is where we're going to drill, this is going to be for camping, this is going to be fishing, this is going to be primarily livestock area. And Bishop promised to do that. But then the final initiative that came out seems to be making everybody mad. Just had a meeting with some of the leaders of the Ute tribe last week, and they feel like they were totally ignored in the process. I've had oil people tell me that the oil development, natural gas development, energy area that they expected in the plan didn't come out the way they wanted it. I've had ranchers complaining. It seems like we rushed it and didn't get it right, and we really need to start over on that one. I also feel like, God, we need to educate our governor. The governor, I've now heard him speak twice in the last few months, and both times he's bragging about all the jobs he's brought to Utah and how wonderful things are. I saw him at our beautiful new conference center, and he gave this speech about bragging about all the jobs, and my jaw almost hit the ground. I'm thinking, do you understand? Something like 3,800 and some people have lost their jobs here. They're not feeling this wonderful prosperity you're talking about. The governor and the legislature love it when we're paying taxes from the oil fields that goes to the state. But it seems like when times turn bad, they ignore us, and that's not right.
And we're at the halfway point now. Do you have anything you want to add to that, or do you go to the next question?
I guess the other area is I really feel we could promote tourism better. You know, from about the beginning of May through the beginning of October, we have a pretty good tourist season here that keeps a lot of restaurants and stuff alive when the oil fields are down and the hotels. But I feel we could do a lot more. I'd like to see year-round better promotion. We have 100 and some miles of snowmobile trails here. Wyoming promotes snowmobiling big time all around the country for people to come there. I think we could get people coming here for the snowmobiling. We've got nice cross-country ski trails. I would also like to see more in terms of the mountain biking. Now it's starting to really take off, but I'd like to see a mountain bike trail start right downtown where the hotels are, and the bikers could go out to McCoy Flats and never even have to get in their car. I'd like to see a mountain bike trail going up to Steinecker and Red Fleet and on up into the National Forest. I know Fruita and Grand Junction have done, well, Moab too, have done a fantastic job promoting mountain biking. I think we could do that as well. We've got fantastic rafting and trout fishing here. But then this gets into the problem of the airport. I used to see 30 years ago the planes coming in here full of tourists all summer long, going rafting, fishing, enjoying the area. Horseback outfitters were supplying them. With our airport problems we've had the last few years, we've lost a lot of those tourists. Plus, if we upgraded and fixed the airport faster, it would help the oil companies too.
Mm-hmm. All right, our next question, and we have 3 minutes remaining. Why do you feel you're the best qualified for this office?
Okay, there's two sides to that. First off, when I was young, I was only in 4th grade when I started working in my parents' store. They owned a little old-fashioned country store with the gas pumps out front, where I'd go get the gas, and I did that for 12 years. And I learned a lot about small business and the needs of small business. Now, part of it convinced me I didn't want to work for myself, because I didn't want to work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, just to keep my head above water. So I appreciate how tough it is for the small business people. But I think that experience helps me understand some things that a lot of people just don't get. Then for 33 years, I've been the middle school science teacher here, and from that, I've learned not just how to talk, but how to listen. You know, teaching is as much about listening to your students and helping them with their problems as it is about instructing. And then finally, I've worked a lot of summers in the tourist industry, and so I appreciate the rafters and the horse outfitters and the other people that do that. So I think we could do more to promote hunting and fishing in this area as well.
All right. Our final question is, what is the single most important thing that you want voters to remember about you?
Actually, there's 2 things I want them to know. First off, I am a Democrat, but I'm a rural Utah Democrat, okay? I'm not one of those East Coast Democrats. I own guns. I believe in moral values. I understand the role of religion and what it should play in people's lives. So don't label me with those other Democrats that you've been seeing on TV recently. The other part is I was a successful teacher because I cared about my kids.
You have 1 minute.
Every student knew I cared, and I gave them my best, and I got the best from them because of it. And I hope to do that for the county.
Well, very good. We appreciate you being here today and wish you well in the election. We now welcome Uintah County Commission candidate Brad Horrocks. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me here.
Well, we'll start off with the first question. What do you see as the greatest challenge or challenges currently facing Uintah County? And if elected, how do you plan to address those issues?
Oh, that's kind of a loaded question because the county is, there's several issues. You know, we have the public lands, we have the economy, the tribal issues, the shortfall on budgets, but let's take off with the budget. You know, it's, my concerns are right off the bat, I want to make sure that we maintain our essential services without raising taxes. You know, and it's going to be a big process. You know, I've been in several meetings, and it's, we have 6 special service districts in Uintah County that are, that are started out with, well, they have $37 million and they're down to less than $9 million. They provide a lot of essential services for Uintah County, and if they don't have the money, it's going to come right back to the county having to take over these essential services and going to have to raise our taxes. So I plan on getting in there. You know, it's from the outside looking in, you think there's a lot of things you want to do, but until you get in there and really learn the system, learn what's going on, I want to be involved. I want to be in the community. I want to be involved with these different entities and just make my decisions then. You know, I think I bring a lot of experience to the table, and I want to be involved with on the ground involvement with all our entities. And it's a trying time for the county right now, but it's we've just all got to buckle down. We have great employees at the county, and it's nothing new for me. I've been through it 3 or 4 times, so.
Very good. Now, what is your plan to help Uintah County in terms of economic recovery? You know,
this is the most exciting part for me. I retired in '09, beginning of '08. Went home, ranched and farmed, and you know, in the late '80s, we had a same turnaround. You know, you can buy a brand new home with late '80s for $6,500, brand new, and it was, you know, the newspaper was printing the last one out, turn off the lights. We was literally wondering if that was going to happen, but but we had some great people that I look up to this day, and you know, and I hate to name names, but my word, you know, we had the Doc Allens, the Jack Staggs, the Alda Windwards, that, you know, we started, well, just on and on. I hate to start naming names, but you know, the Flower Project come from then. You know, the Flower Project, the Dinosaur Roundup Rodeo, the Outlaw Trail Festival. So it's our turn to make a difference. You know, I would like to say someday somebody, hey, we made an economic difference. My first plans right off the bat is to we got to have an economic board that's formed around our economic director. And we've got to get a diverse group of people, enthusiastic people that want to get on that board. And we got to get out and seek out all avenues of economic development. But on the same token I think we can do a lot better with all the things we do have to offer here. We need to make sure that Simplot up there, or the phosphate mine, the power plant, the Bonanza mines, oil and gas fields, the ranching industry, that we don't overlook them. Let's take care of what we have here, do the very best that we can with what we have, the tourism, the four-wheelers, the camping, the biking, you know, we have so much to offer, and let's make sure we're doing that the very best we can. Then let's get out and make sure that we seek out new, you know, any new businesses that want to come to town that will manufacture something that provides a different avenue for us to have income. And I'm enthused. That's my biggest excitement about doing this job. I want to, hopefully someday they'll look and say, you know, that my age group, the people, the citizens of Uintah County, at this group of people, they're looking back at like the ones I do and say, they made a difference. So.
Thank you. Now, why do you feel that you are best qualified for this office?
Well, that's a lot. I'll tell you what I think, and I'm not sure, you know, but it's, you know, I'm a lifelong resident in Uintah County. My wife's a retired school teacher. I've owned and operated several different businesses, was successful in all of them. I've bring a wider variety of experience to the table. I've ranched, I've farmed, I've got a vested interest in Uintah County. I have 3 boys here that have several different businesses in Uintah County. I feel like I am vested here. I'm not running for Uintah County Commissioner because I need a job. I'm running because I want to serve. I will not run the county to be reelected. I will run the county like a business, and I feel like I'm the best qualified because of my experience.
Thank you. What is the single most important thing that you want voters to remember about you?
I'm passionate about what I do. I'm enthusiastic. I love what I'm doing. I took this because I want to do it. I didn't take it because I needed the job. I will be in the community. I will be a part of the community, actively involved in all entities in the community, and I have done it my whole life, and I feel like that I hope they know that I have a vested interest in our community and want to make it better for all of us.
Well, I appreciate you being here today. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. Appreciate it.
On this episode of Wild Air, we take you to the high Uintah Wilderness for an archery elk hunt. Then we ride along with a DNR officer as he patrols our local hunting grounds. All of this on the latest episode of Wild Air.
Joining me now is Scott Chu, who is a candidate for the State Representative District 55. Welcome to Local Point.
Good to be here.
Now I'm going to ask the first question. What do you see as the greatest challenges currently facing the state of Utah? And if elected, how do you plan to address those?
Well, you know, we have to look at the people of Utah no matter what. And one of our biggest challenges that I can see is the fact that our population is growing so rapidly that it's going to put some strain on different parts of our state, and our rapid growth, the fact that we live in a desert, water is going to be one of the big issues of our state. Not only are we going to have an abundance of it, but our distribution systems and the infrastructure is not only is it sufficient, is it going to be able to be upgraded, is it going to be able to, and how are we going to deal with that part of it? And the topography of our state creates some areas where we have air quality issues. Population also will add to those issues. And we've got to look at different ways that we can still have our good industry, because our state is known for having one of the best economies in the nation, and we want to be able to maintain that good economy and also be aware of the air situation. Of course, our area here in the Uintah Basin has its problems with an inversion in the wintertime, and I was instrumental in some of the legislation that was passed last session to fund some research, so we know exactly what is in our air, so when it gets trapped in here in the wintertime, we'll know what needs to be worked on. Another area, and it all kind of deals back to the population, is education. We have some concerns with how we fund education and what we're going to do with making sure that our children that are here have opportunity for a good education. Our roads are another issue that are statewide and are very much a concern of all of our population. Anyway, some of those I feel like are some of our issues that we need to be concerned about, and I feel like just being aware of that will be a good thing.
Thank you. What is your plan to help our area in terms of economic recovery?
You know, it's interesting. The Uintah Basin has always relied real heavily on the energy industry. And when we started this last boom, I felt like that our area was for sure safe because we were entering into a world market, and we had the opportunity for our product to be distributed worldwide. I never even dreamed that actually the world market would be the reason that we would be dropping the economy here in the basin, because there are so many other energy producing nations, and they producing their energy very cheaply. So I think that the basin still is a hot energy source, but I think maybe we need to look at a little more specialized, possibly. We've got a power plant here that burns coal out of Colorado, but we are producing a lot of natural gas, and there are good power generation plants that consume natural gas. It's a little cleaner burning that would help our air quality. I think that we need to investigate the opportunity of using our natural gas to possibly generate electricity, because there's no doubt the electricity is something that our population relies on for everything. Also, we've got another opportunity that I think needs to be investigated a little bit, our oil shale. We've talked about how many millions of barrels of oil shale are out there. And that oil shale, as I've been at different seminars and stuff, our oil shale oil refines down to some of the best product to produce jet fuel, and we haven't found anything that will replace jet fuel. So I think we've got an opportunity there to tap into our oil shale. And again, some of this all ties into the population growth. People travel more and require more energy or more electricity and whatnot. And it's interesting, the state talks about how well the economy's doing, and yet our area here is hurting. And they are starting to become aware of it, the rest of the state, because all at once they notice the money coffers aren't as full as they were, and they realize, hey, it's because the Uintah Basin's not kicking in. And I think that we're going to get some more, we're going to have a better awareness of what we are here, and so I think we've got some opportunities. Oh, another thing that is recreation. I've been a little bit instrumental in talking with some of the groups and getting like the ATV jamboree we had last summer and getting that going. We've got some great opportunities with that, but we want to be careful, because recreation is a great thing, but it's mostly seasonal, and we can't be tying our hands to something that's seasonal, but we want to be able to take advantage of that.
Thank you. Why do you feel you are the best qualified for the office?
You know, I was born and raised here in the basin, and it's all about knowing what's going on here. I grew up here. I've been involved with the community. I've served on a lot of different committees and groups, and I've been and statewide. The governors, both Governor Leavitt and Governor Herbert, have asked me to serve on state committees. I've had the opportunity to talk to different members of our state delegation and stuff, and I feel like I'm recognized in the state and at home, and there's a lot of, and I'm just aware, having grown up here and raising a family, having a business, a ranch, why I feel like I can do a good job of representing this part of the state.
Thank you. What is the single most important thing you want voters to remember about you? We're in our last 2 minutes.
Wow, you know, that question doesn't even enter in my mind. This is not about me. I don't want the people to remember me because I am going to be there to represent our area and make sure that it's represented. It's not about me.
Thank you very much for being here today.
Okay.
Let's welcome Wayne Stevens, who is a candidate for State Representative District 55. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Well, we'll start off with our first question. What do you see as the greatest challenges currently facing the state of Utah? And if elected, how do you plan to address those issues?
Well, I feel I have 3 major issues and challenges that are facing Utah, and it's public lands, keeping public lands public, clean air and water, and education. On the public lands part, I want to keep public lands to promote tourism, recreation, and hunting, or ranching. My background is actually in rangeland management, so I'm into that. Those 3 economies are more stable than the mineral extraction, and tourism brings in approximately $12 million a year into Utah.
Wow.
And so those are concerns with the Public Lands Initiative and the state wanting to take over public lands.
All right. Our next question is, what is your plan to help our area in terms of economic recovery?
Well, again, I want to keep public lands public and promote tourism, ranching, recreation, because, like I said, those are 3 stable economies, and I want those to be the primary economic sources for the area. And oil and gas are part of the economic equation, but you know, it's not going to go away just because somebody doesn't like it. And that's not realistic to look at. But I think oil and gas should move along at a slow, more steady pace to prolong the extraction of it. And how we do that is, I don't really know, because that's going to revert to CEOs not taking bonuses and saving money to work in the slower times. And as we know, the boom and bust cycles in mineral economies really never last, and a bust cycle may not always go back to a boom cycle. So it needs to be done at a slower rate, and that's would be the 4th economic pillar in the area, is oil and gas.
Thank you. What do you feel? Why do you feel you are best qualified for this office?
Well, I spent 30 years working for the BLM, and I've lived in a lot of western states, several western states, and I've seen a lot of likenesses and differences, and I think that seeing these likenesses and the differences and understanding them have me qualified to some extent to be in the state legislature. And so from that standpoint, I think that I'm pretty well qualified to be a state representative.
Thank you. What is the single most important thing you want voters to remember about you?
Well, I want them to remember that I work for them, and that I have an open door policy. If they want to talk to me, I'm pretty accessible. And so that's what I would like them to remember. And going back, I didn't really answer the first question all the way through.
Oh, go right ahead.
And you know, like I said, clean air and water are something that's dear to me, because I fought to protect Ashley Springs from the phosphate mine. But I think Utah can be a leader in clean air and water by following the example that California set, which is they embraced the EPA and went beyond the standards of EPA. And Utah could do the same thing. And that would ensure cleaner air, cleaner water, and as people like to say around here, keep the EPA out of the state. That would, that's one of the big things there. And I'd also like to give the Division of Environmental Quality more teeth and strength to enact regulations and enforce those regulations to protect our water and air. Because if we clean up the air and the water, the cost that's incurred in doing that will be passed on to the consumers, but it'll be offset by having a healthier population and fewer emergency room trips for those with acute asthma attacks and other respiratory issues. And so that's why I'm really for clean air and water, because I also spent a lot of time as an EMT in 4 different states and 2 different ambulance services and worked in an emergency room. So, I saw a lot of that stuff come in, and it's kind of disconcerting to see somebody struggling to breathe because they're having an asthma attack.
In the remaining time, would you like to add anything else?
Well, I'd go on to education. And, Utah is like the 52nd in the nation for per pupil spending. And I think if we want to increase our education so that our youth is competitive in a local, state, national, and global economy or market, that we need to pay our teachers more to keep them here. And we need to go back to the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and make sure that our students are proficient in that with liberal doses of science and history, so that we don't keep repeating the same things over and over again.
We do appreciate you coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.